What is up, everybody? It is Alex from Heavy, New York, calling from the Alto again, and this time we are here with Jim of the Almighty Mastiff. Thank you so much for being on the show today, man. It's great to have you here.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah,
It's an honor.
it's an honor to have you here. First off, I want to congratulate you on a few things. First off, with this new album, Deprecipice, which we'll get into in a moment, but also happy 10 years of Mastiff. If I'm not mistaken, this year marks 10 years
Yeah, very correct.
of the band. Congratulations. I mean, we'll get like the most cliche question out of the way, but looking back at those 10 years between albums such as Rank and Plague and, us having with Death and stuff, I mean, how do you look back at your catalog for the last 10 years?
Some would say it's progressively worse. Some will say it's progressively better. It's been a journey. There's a lot of getting rid of venting involved, I suppose, and cathartic, I guess you could call it. But yeah, it's been a long slog to finally start getting some recognition.
Definitely, and and I'm really glad that more and more people are finding out about you guys. When we listen to albums such as "Leave Me the Ashes of the Earth" and this new album "Deprecipice," I mean, was this sort of the vision of Mastiff when you were putting out the Death EP and the Everything Equals Death EP and stuff?
I do. If I'm honest, because we're English, we're self-deprecating, so we never sort of aim for anything. It's a natural course, and it goes where it goes. So when we put that first EP out, we were thinking maybe we might get another 6 months off the back of it, and to say like 10 years have gone by and we've received what we have is amazing for us. So no, you can't sort of judge where it's going to go, I don't think, just because we're that way on as well. So
yeah, and little did you know that you would have a song featured on Cyberpunk, right?
No, not in our wildest dreams would that happen. No, never.
Yep. What I love is that your music is chaotic, it's destructive, it's brutal, and yet when that Cyberpunk game first came out, your song was more structured than that game. So,
well, yeah. Thankfully, we can't be blamed for that. Although some people said it might be because we were on it, but
yeah. Well,
no, it was cool.
Yeah, well, I will tell you this: if you manage to glitch out a video game without, because how many metal bands have been featured in video games before, and punk bands and stuff like that. If your song could glitch the game with how heavy it is, you guys made a rare accomplishment right there. So, if anything, I would just own up to that.
Well, yeah, it's a badge of honor, I guess. So we will wear that with honor.
That sounds like a plan. With this new album, Deprecipice, though, was there sort of like a vision that you had in mind in a way? Was it the intention to kind of just continue where you left off after Leave Me the Ashes of the Earth? Or were you trying to maybe form a new clean slate for Mastiff in a way?
I guess it was more of a clean slate because the sound has slightly changed as well. Not members haven't left, no one's joined, anything like that. I think it's just a part of your journey through life, and it alters you. And so whatever we've written, it's just a capture of that moment in time. So I guess there's no journey to be written. Nothing. We didn't sort of set out to write a style or I don't know, like what would you call a theme to it. So it's just capturing a moment again. It's again, I guess we're a very negative band anyway. In our not mindsets particularly, but like that because we're getting rid of a lot of stuff. It is a negative place to be in a lot of people's minds, not just ours. So I guess we try to reflect maybe what other people not want but think. So that's where that generally comes from, the writing process. Certainly on my part anyway, and lyrically wise. So that's I guess that's about as close as I can get to.
Is there always with each album? Is there sort of like a vision you have going into with the making of each album? Is there sort of a goal in mind in a way, or do you is it a very like throwing paint at the wall and sort of seeing what sort of sticks?
Yeah, I guess it's a throw your paint at the wall sort of idea. I think Plague was the most set out, just because of what we were all going through personally, and so we yeah, it was very much more a personal album, that, and then the rest of them have just been, let's see where we go with what's happening and what he's about. Like I say, at the time, it's what we go through, and that's how we write. We've never been a sit down and sort of direction band, I guess. Yeah.
Well, I've always thought that, like, with your sort of sound, like, it's chaotic and it's, dark and all this, but I consider your sound to be very experimental. I don't call Mastiff a death metal band. I don't call you a black metal band. Obviously, for marketing purposes and whatnot, there is this sort of, blackened sludge, whatever, on the periodic table of subgenres that, there is, but like, would you say that there is really no sort of formula that you have to sort of stick with? It seems like every album has been able to kind of play by its own rules.
Yeah, I think we don't give ourselves a moniker. We just fall between the lines in our minds, and people say this is what you are, this is what you are. Everybody sees us different, so what we write is what we write, and people capture or come on to an idea and say, well, they are this band, they are that band. But I don't think we do fall between the gaps. We do fall, and I think that's maybe why people seem to enjoy us quite a lot.
Yeah. Well, I think because like it's doomy, but it's very like raw and crusty in a way. But then I even see some like hardcore elements thrown in there as well. So like it seems like you guys were able to take inspiration from many different sources since the formation of Mastiff, right?
Yeah, well, I guess because there's five of us. I mean, Dan, our bass player, is into noise rock, metal, whatever. Our drummer, he's into grindcore, stuff like Nasm, stuff like that. And then Jam, our other guitarist, he's probably like the most metalcore kid, I guess, if that was a choice. And Phil, our other guitarist, he's an out and out hardcore kid. And me, I am a Limp Bizkit fan. So
I approve.
That is, yeah. It is, there's so many things going on with us. It's just, and the way we write in a room, practice room, live. Everything's written live. Everything is playable to us. And then when we go into the studio, we don't want to lose that playable element. We want to be able to play, if we have to, every song off an album. There's a certain element of, say, when the album comes out, people will hear there's a couple of tracks on it that are probably not playable, as in they have a lot of samples on them and they're a keyboard one, and there's bits and bobs on it that are unplayable, but then generally, or 90% of it is written as a live track. So that's why it sounds as it sounds.
I could consider every Mastiff album to almost be a live album without it necessarily being a live album because of how raw it sounds. But I will say, Limp Bizkit, that introduction to break stuff is sludge riffs, if I've ever heard it. Dude, just slow down the tempo of that.
Not overproduced, but a produced sludge.
Yeah, slow down that tempo by a lot. You got a doom song right there. My favorite Limp Bizkit. My favorite experience with Limp Bizkit is that for a very long time, I thought Faith was an original song that they wrote. And when I found out that it wasn't, it was like finding out that Santa Claus isn't real, and I just wanted to cry.
Wait, what? He's what? He's not real?
From what I understand, he's...
Oh. No, you ruined it for me.
Yeah. I know, right? Yeah, I know. Well, this is fucking Mastiff, all right? Christmas doesn't exist.
yeah. It'll be dark. It's a dark Christmas in our household.
Yeah, exactly. But also, two of the members, correct me if I'm wrong, are also in Catafalque as well, and they have their own elements. So that also has to bring some stuff into Mastiff as well, too, right?
Oh yeah. So Dan, like I say, he's into noise rock. Bass player Dan, and Charlie, our drummer, into Nasm and stuff like that. But I mean, Catafalque is. It's oppressing music. So you can see where, like you said, the influences do, blend into our sound, and it's great. I love their album. It's a journey in itself, that one. So
yeah, you could say that again. As a vocalist, have you always needed to hear music before you came up with the lyrics in a way, or does a lyrical idea or maybe a personal experience that you want to address maybe help guide how the music will sound?
So probably when I first started, it was music first, and then write lyrics to it. And then probably at the inception of Plague, I was going through a lot of personal trauma, a lot of stuff coming back to bite me on the ass, if you like, and it there was a lot of lyrics already playing in my head, so it was still fitting it to music, but it was pre-written almost. It wrote itself very easily. Did that album, and it is very personal, that album. But then, yeah. So now, after that, I chuck as many ideas as I can down on a sheet of paper or in my phone or whatever, and so it's bending it around to what the rest of the band deemed fit to be on an album. So it's a bit of both, I guess.
Depending on what the material can be about, does it maybe resonate with you differently, or does it feel like you're channeling a different energy, or being that it's still you on the vocals in a way that doesn't really matter? A Mastiff song is a Mastiff song.
A Mastiff song is a Mastiff song, but it does, without going into it loads, and I've spoke about it a lot. That I lost a child 14 years ago, and so that has an impact on pretty much everyday life, let alone what I write about. So it writes itself heavily that way. So when we do, not that we're a political band, and I've said this before, we're not a political band, but when political moments come up like they are at the moment, that's light-hearted for me. It's not. I enjoy writing about something that isn't my personal life particularly. So every song is a Mastiff song, but yeah, there's some heavier shit than other stuff. So
yeah. Well, first off, I think the term political is kind of very broad at this point in a way, because political, what does that mean? Okay, you're saying fuck you to the government, or you're saying fuck you to you're talking about politics, if you will, but that, I feel like it's anything that makes a statement. You could be a political band. You could be a political band starting now and could go through your whole career without mentioning anything that's happening right now. But if you're making a statement or being confrontational in a way, addressing something outside of yourself, I think that's what can really make something political. But, with something as tragic as what you just mentioned that you had to go through, and, with the pain, and when pain and darkness has been the fuel behind your fire, do you almost kind of have to tread carefully when writing, when using that as the source of inspiration? I've always said that when pain is the source of inspiration, you could become victimized by your own product in that regard, in a way. So has the songwriting process been just as deteriorating as it can be cathartic?
It was to start with. I think now I've learned how to deal with it, particularly. Time doesn't heal in my eyes. It just teaches you how to deal with stuff. So I think I've been through all the heavy, not the Jonathan Davis laying on the floor crying sort of thing, but I've been very close to breaking down when I was doing lyrics and stuff, but it's because it is personal. I don't want to open the trapdoor, if you get what I mean, because once it is open, it's bloody hard to shut it. It's a hard door to close again. Once you start spewing out and getting rid of everything, it's almost, do I want to shut the door, or how do I shut the door? How do I close it? How do I stop venting?
Yeah, and it's difficult in a way, because I feel like, for instance, one of my one vocalist I really like is David Draymond from Disturbed, being a fellow nu metal fan in a way. He's written everything about loss to betrayal to personal illness. He's went through his own fair share of trials and tribulations, And part of me wonders, how do you have a career singing about your own personal traumas and all of your pain and still be happy about that? Sure, it's cathartic. You address and let out what you had to let out, but you're revisiting that pain every single night when you're performing it. So,
yeah, I guess. But then I don't wear it as a badge of honor. It's not a badge of honor. It never will be. But it's. I don't. I think because I've done it so many times and I've played so many times live. I get the enjoyment out of people because obviously I've written it for me, but other people I've had people come up and say, look, as without being cliched, people connect with it. They've been through their own crap, so it's easy for me to do because I know people are getting enjoyment out of it. And if I see people enjoying it, it elates me. People are getting a kick out of it, or not a kick, or, people are just enjoyment makes it easy, I guess.
You could definitely say that. I mean, having music as a release is a gift. I mean, when you're able to sing about it, because I feel like when you don't have a release, it just consumes you. I know, like, this isn't the best. A lot of people are going to say this isn't the best analogy, but I think it's actually the best analogy when it comes to comparing albums. Saint Anger. You can say what you want about the snare drum on that album, but it represented James Hetfield saying that anger's coming out sideways, not the right way, and that's what that album sounds like. So I think
he's a pissed off album. He's a pissed off album.
Yep, and I think with the way it sounds, it represents that was anger coming out the wrong way. Imagine if he was able to execute that anger the right way. Maybe we would have had another Kill 'Em All at that time,
Yeah, possibly, yeah.
But being that Mastiff is comprised of 5 individuals with different music tastes, as you say, but all of your own different experiences as well. Do you guys all have to be in the sort of same emotional headspace when writing music together to make the songs sound like it belongs? Or is it better if you're kind of off in your own different worlds in a way?
I would guess we're all off in our different worlds. I mean, I can only speak for myself, but I guess, we turn up on into our practice room once a week, and whether we're all pissed off, whether we're all happy, whether whatever, that moment is a release, so we get to get rid of whatever is going on in our own heads. We don't talk to each other about stuff because we don't need to. Particularly, there's obviously going to be moments where someone's gone, this has happened, like Jam, just as we were writing Deprecipice, Jam's mum passed away. So he was in a zone, in that zone, whatever you want to call it. So it was, I guess, his parts on that album were written very much from a heartfelt moment. And he's written the lyrics to the next track that's coming out, which is Void, which is about his mum passing and what have you. So, and I gladly will, we're not I'm doing the lyrics, you're doing that. We all have an input. So I'm gladly let him write and vent and whatever else he has to do. And, it's a song for me that I am over the moon to sing, because it's from his heartfelt moment. Just like he plays guitar to the best he can when he knows most of the lyrics about what I've been through. So it's a give and take thing, I guess. But yeah, it's that's I don't know if that's answered the question particularly well, or
all of your answers have been spectacular. Thank you for that, and also thank you for telling me everything that you could tell, because these are not easy things to talk about. And when you're making an album about it, and being interviewed by somebody who not only hasn't had your experiences, but wasn't in the recording with you or wrote, and I have yet to see you guys live, which I hope changes soon. But like you get the point. Like, I feel like to be able to communicate this is an art in and of itself, in addition to making music about it.
Yeah.
And but I had a conversation with another artist, Sylvain, yesterday about the whole suffering artist thing in a way, where like the concept of art is at its best when we are at our worst. Do you think sometimes and I kind of agree that it can almost be kind of tasteless in a way, or people rely on that too much? Like, do you think that maybe you can make an album just as brutal and just as heavy as you are now in a utopia, if you will?
I don't know, because I don't think anyone's in it. I don't think anyone has been in a utopia for a very long time.
It means the land that cannot be.
It's a shit pit of a world at the moment. I mean, it's just it's very easy to write it. I guess it is easier to write when you're living like this, or being forced to go through whatever. And utopia, I don't know. I mean, when you're writing an album like Girls, 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 I'm sure that's probably written from a utopian area or a zone, but you know what I mean? It's like...
With all the drugs that were going on at that
time. They're all living on heroin and what have you. So, I mean, is utopia... You're only seeing it from somebody else's external point of view. So, I guess there is an enjoyment element. And, back to what we said earlier, what's the point in living in it constantly? Live the half an hour, but still enjoy it. Enjoy getting it off your chest. Enjoy just playing live in front of people, and then people just coming back at you and enjoying it. It's there's no point in being so negative and so wrapped up in it, because it will drag you down, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you play this live, though, and you want to kill it every single night, do you almost have to kind of revisit the emotional headspace you were in when you were writing it in order to execute that? Or every night is different. You're playing in a different club every night. You're in front of different people every night. It's almost kind of like impossible to replicate that.
Yeah, I think it is. I think it is impossible to. Yeah, it is an impossibility to replicate, and I wouldn't want to replicate it, because it is a horrible thing to do. Live through it. I did it. I do it on the days that I'm recording, and then it's done, and I get to enjoy, being out on the road with my pals, one of 5 of my best pals, and it's just I wouldn't want to relive it every night. It would be a miserable tour situation for me, and definitely for the rest of the band.
Yeah, like when a band, because I've talked with some people who tell me I want to get into that dark headspace every night, and like they're telling me about touring and all this. I'm like, your job sounds more miserable than any other corporate desk job than you could imagine. Yeah. Like you might as well just put on the suit and work behind a desk and make that the show.
Oh, without a doubt. Yeah, I mean, I like a drink. I love it. Well, I love a drink. Not that I'm, on the scale of needing it, but I do love a drink. I love partying, and I don't think I'd do it if I was so miserable every bloody night. I don't want to be in that headspace. No. It's I'm there to enjoy the spoil or the rewards, I guess, not the spoils, the rewards of it. I'm there. If the music sells well and people enjoy it, then that's what we're there to do and promote. And I don't want to be on that bloody stage every night feeling like, I don't know, just so miserable that I shouldn't be doing it almost. You got the imposter syndrome thing, and I don't think anyone needs to be doing being in that zone every night, because it would be, horribly miserable.
Yeah. Unless if you are a band that sort of portrays a character like Gwar or Avatar or something like that, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but then they're fun. Like, we toured with Avatar this last February, and there's no misery involved in their music. They look dour and they have the makeup and stuff, and same with Gwar. I'm sure it's almost, the same behind Slipknot's masks. They're still having an absolute scream.
Yeah.
And just because we're not wearing a bloody mask or whatever, you can, we're there to just enjoy ourselves and party with our friends who we're lucky enough to get to do and meet and whatever around the country, around the world, wherever. I enjoy meeting people like yourself just through this, and I have to live it when I'm recording it, but the rest of the time it's not. I wouldn't want to be in that zone.
Yeah, of course, of course. And you led me perfectly into the final question, and that's when people experience your music and interpret it and enjoy it live and stuff. Do you think that adds another layer of context or meaning to the material that wasn't there when you first made it?
Yeah, probably. Yeah. If somebody else is getting a different feeling out of it or a vibe out of it, and they want to tell us, that's great. I love hearing people talk to us about how they feel or what emotions that song brings on. I know it's a cliche, and every band gets some sort of vibe off every person that they meet, but it genuinely is a great feeling to have somebody's come up and say, A, it's done this, or B, it's done this, or whatever. It's if it instills an emotion in somebody, we all love it. We all love it, and that's why we're here. I think, just to enjoy music and getting people into music.
Yep, and you succeed in all of those regards, and you do it with every kick-ass album after kick-ass album. So, before we go, I want to thank you so much for your time today. Thank you for your music. Is there just anything else with Mastiff you'd like to promote with tours coming up, or anything else you'd like to plug, if you're allowed to say at this moment, of course?
Well, we've got a UK tour coming up beginning March 22nd, which is the day of release. So we've got a hometown show, release show. We've never actually done one of these properly before. So fingers crossed we can get good numbers through the door, and good numbers through on the rest of the tour. We've got little bits and bobs coming up, but nothing that we can really sort of go into yet, because you don't know who's saying what and who's letting on and blah blah blah. So we'll see, it'll all come clear in the future. So
yeah, I hope a U.S. tour is somewhere in that factor of information, but. Thank you so much, everybody. We are here with Mastiff, Deprecipice. Be sure to check that out. This is Alex from Heavy New York, and we will see you next time.